Hello, public opinion aficionados, and welcome to Rasmussen Reports, the independent pollster who is having a really hard time keeping up with all of the stunning news out of the burgeoning Trump second administration. Now, there's a lot going on right now, and we'll hit a few of the highlights, but there are a couple of really important polls from before the election that I think you're going to want to see, ones that set really important public opinion benchmarks. But our post election polling is starting to show some amazing changes. First, we've been tracking a massive increase just in the last couple of days of consumer confidence. But then there's also this: when asked if the country is on the right track or headed in the wrong direction, Republicans from pre election are now up to 36% from 17% before election day, and Democrats went from 54% to 32%. That is now 5 nights of data, but I think the numbers are going to get worse. Reality is crashing down on Democrats right now. And what's interesting is that the independents are basically locked in the mid 20s. They're taking a wait and see approach about the new Trump administration. Then you have this. I think this is all of the proof that you need that Joe Biden and his wife, Jill, maybe out of retribution, probably voted for Trump. Absolutely hilarious. Now, this is something fascinating. This is the New York Times 2020 shift map. And unfortunately, even though they paid to program this thing, even though they collected all of the data, when they realized that it was starting to look really grim for Democrats, they stopped updating it. But here's this clown. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker says Trump sending the National Guard to round up criminal aliens is just not something we're going to accept. Well, your voters want it, dude. And as this map shows, all of Illinois moved massively to the right. If you're on Twitter, if you see these kind of things, make sure you go to New York Times, look at the 2020 shift map, copy and paste a picture of their state, and shove it in their face. Now, then there's just so many wild things coming out, things we all suspected, but now we know. Kamala Harris' campaign gave $500,000 to Al Sharpton's nonprofit just before a glowing interview with the MSNBC host. Were they all paid? I really do think somebody needs to look in to whether all this money flying around behind the scenes in the Kamala Harris campaign, all of the money that was laundered Democrat dark money, was above board. I think that's an honest question. Then there's amazing introspection here. Let's hear it for the straight white boys who saved us from Kamala out of the phenomenal writer Peachy Keenan. And I think she's going to be right. But the reason I wanted to put this up is, listen, you're going to hear a lot about exit polling in the next week or two. All of that exit polling is from the same mainstream media outlets that had Harris winning the race by 2 to 4 points. You cannot believe them. Listen, one of the reasons Donald Trump won this race was because black men turned out big. And yet NBC exit polling shows that Donald Trump only got 12% of the black vote. That number is not right. You need to sit tight and wait. There will be voter validated studies that go into this, but it's going to take some time. And then there's this. The picks coming out of the Trump administration are absolutely phenomenal. It looks like he is not making the same mistakes as last time. He is picking loyal and motivated outsiders who want to come in and absolutely upset the horse cart. Peter Hegseth, really smart guy, former military. All the woke generals must be fired immediately. Yes, I recommend they start with anybody who should have been fired over the Afghanistan withdrawal. And don't forget the admirals, too. There's a whole lot of them that need to be fired. This is really, liberals must be looking around at the internet now and seeing these losses all over the place. There is a new sheriff in town in Washington, D.C. And this is a really good clip that everybody should watch. Scott Jennings on CNN on the Hegseth appointment, just seeing how the establishment is dealing with this idea of an outsider coming in to clean house is just breathtaking to behold. And this is the CNN that news reports are saying is going to have massive layoffs across the board now because they've blown their credibility and finally viewers have had enough. Ratings are down across the board. But it's not all sunshine and roses. Senator John Thune was selected this morning in a secret vote of the Senate to replace Mitch McConnell. And here's what I have to say about that. Probably would have been better for MAGA if Rick Scott had been selected. But Trump knows what he's doing. He's surrounded by people who have lived through his prior administration, have seen what has happened to the country over the last couple years, and have absolutely no intention of losing. The country selected a new leader. You're not going to love everything that happens. There's going to be stuff that happens behind the scenes that you don't know about. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But here are the two things we're here to talk about. This one was a really important poll. Again, it came out just before the election, but I thought the results were too important. I would love to test this again in a year to see what changes. This is an adults poll, so it's weighted to the census and not to the electorate. Are you proud to be an American? 81% of voters say yes, but 10% actually say no, and 9% say not sure. That is kind of weird. This does include all adults, so there's probably going to be, some people on work permits or some legal aliens in here. But 19% saying they're not proud to be an American is kind of a high number, and it's more women than men. 21% here, kind of wild. Way more 18 to 39-year-olds. We're talking 30% of 18 to 39-year-olds say no or not sure. 18% say no. This is probably the decades-long impact of the wokeization of public education, in my opinion. But look at the 65 and older crew. 93% say yes. Men under 40, 74% say yes, but it's only 63% of women under 40. Black Americans, though, same as white Americans, there's no race signal. Democrats, 82% of them, but 87% of Republicans say yes, only 77% of independents. But generally speaking, should Americans be proud or ashamed of the history of the United States? And a lot less of them say proud, 68%, 17% say ashamed. But again, we have 33% saying not sure. Women, again, less proud, but 18 to 39-year-olds take the cake. 58% of them are proud of America's history. This is literally like your 1619 project, your critical race theory, your extreme liberalism on college campuses. It is having an effect, and it needs to be corrected. Trump team, get hot. How are you going to fix higher education in America? It's a really big problem. But this is the biggest number in this whole thing. Men under 40, men over 40, women over 40. It's roughly 2/3 of them to 3/4 of them who say they're proud of America's history. But women under 40 appear to be most susceptible to the history shaming of America. Only 47% are proud of America's history, but 34% are ashamed. I'm pretty sure that's the highest number anywhere here. Even Democrats, 64% of them are proud, only 20% ashamed. And independents are more ashamed than anybody else. Republicans, 82% of them are proud, though. Yeah, no other numbers anywhere close to that. Even graduate degrees, those people are proud, 72% to 12%. There's not really much of an income signal. There's something about young liberal women. And yeah, even, so the people who are not proud to be American, 66% of them is because they're ashamed of America's history. It is literally the education system that is undermining patriotism in the United States. And speaking of patriotism in the United States, sometimes the Constitution comes under attack. And often it happens around elections when the party who isn't favored in the battleground polls goes on to complain about how the popular vote should decide the outcome of elections. So we wanted to get at that. And again, this happened over Election Day. The results were not complete for most of this poll. And so I would also love to test this again next year. But 31% of Americans say it is too easy to vote in the United States today, but only 12% say too hard. So the idea that people are being disenfranchised because of, all the stuff that happened in the past, it is not a thing anymore. Definitely not a thing. In fact, only 18% of Black voters say it is too hard to vote. So the inherent racism of our electoral system, the idea is gone. 53% say the level of difficulty is about right. Not much in the way of an age signal. Again, not much in the way of a race signal. But 23% of Democrats say it's too easy. It's 41% of Republicans, 31% of independents. And really, nobody says it's too hard. So, not a huge signal in that question, but here's where there's a big signal. Would you favor or oppose eliminating the Electoral College so that whoever wins a majority of the popular vote wins the election? And again, I would have loved to see an entirely before the election day sample so we could compare it to an entirely after the election sample. But 2/3 of this was before the election. And actually, 55% of voters favor banning the Electoral College, but only 35% strongly. 36% are against, 25% strongly. And again, the ages signal is kind of weird. So it's 18 to 39-year-olds who mostly favor 62%, but it's 65 and older who are way more polarized on this issue. 39% strongly favor it, 37% strongly opposed. It's only 14% 18 to 39-year-olds who are strongly opposed. And Black voters and Hispanic voters are way more in favor than white voters. But look at this. Democrats. 74% of Democrats favor abolishing the Electoral College. I wonder what they think now, because Trump still would have won since he won the national popular vote. 52% of them strongly favor. But what's weird is that Republicans, maybe it's because they knew Trump was going to win it. Maybe it was because of our polling. 43% of them are in favor, although only 24% strongly, and independents basically poll with Republicans on this one. Good stuff, but you're going to see even better stuff coming soon, because finally post-election numbers are rolling in. And of course, we had to take a shot at election integrity. And what I'll repeat over and over again for the next 4 years, if you're a Republican, if you're a conservative, how come the entire country shifted almost 7 points to the right, but the battleground states only shifted 3? How come New York and New Jersey each shifted 11 points to the right, but Pennsylvania only shifted 3? Sure, money has some part to play, but not everything. Sure, the establishment Republicans have some part to play, but not everything. The Trump administration has a lot of stuff to get to the bottom of, and because it's been our number one pet issue for the last 4 years, we're here for it. If you're here for it too, make sure you follow us on YouTube or Rumble at Rasmussen_poll. Please like the video, share it. Follow us on Twitter, Rasmussen_poll, or you can follow me, Mark_R_Mitchell. It's the same stuff, but with more jokes and trolling. Hope to see you there, and thanks for watching.